Good morning, guys. It is Zach Plochet, and recently I decided to learn React. The reason being, if we look at this little chart here, bloop, in my automation, there are a lot of people posting jobs that are looking for help with React, and I thought, you know what? Last night I couldn't really sleep that well for some reason right before bed, so I had a little bit of energy and was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. So, anyone who knows me knows I'm more of a Vue and like Nuxt sort of guy, but I decided to dive in, and honestly, it's not as bad as I thought. So in this video, I'm actually going to show you how to use that, just at like a very basic level, because a long time ago I tried and like I couldn't quite understand it. Now I pretty much get it. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a new React app from scratch. Let's do this. We're gonna first go to command line, run the following command after you go to desktop. Which is, the following command is actually right here on their site. So build a React app from scratch, just to show you the general template. They do recommend using Next.js, but in this case, we're just going to keep it simple. So just for the sake of example and learning, these are React basics. So we're going to take this from their docs, npm create vite at latest my app. And actually, I'm going to change this to React example app, or React example, and press enter. Boom. Okay, so that was done. Now we're going to cd into it, change directory, npm install, which of course, like, you could, I think, technically use yarn in this case, but I'm just following their example. And then npm run dev, and that should give us a nice little interface up here. Right, so now we're here, we have this little count button, and time to talk about the differences. So, now we're going to open this in cursor. Yes, yep, so I'm going to say cursor dot. So, just so we are clear here, I'm going to put this on the left side and keep the template open on the right. So, close the chat here, open up the terminal, npm run dev, once again, get that going. Alrighty. So, a few things here where it sort of starts. I'm actually going to get rid of all of this extra styling and stuff, so just to show you how it works, I guess, all the way from the beginning. So I'm going to take out app.css, in app.jsx. We will actually make some modifications here. So let's see, get rid of all of this. Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. We're going to keep this for now. And first, we're going to take this button and put it in its own component. Now, that is not technically building a component from scratch, but in our case, it kind of is. So here's what we got, because all of the button is currently just linked in this one little section. So, So first, to create a component, we're just going to separate this into its own component here, because basically in React and Vue and maybe Angular, not fully sure with Angular, but at least in React and Vue, the whole web page is basically built with components. Even this app.jsx file is a single component. Technically, more or less same with create root, more or less in that case. But yeah, this whole thing is pretty much a component, and that consists of a few parts. So let's make this button a component that is separate from here. Oh my god, that's so annoying. So we're going to do the following. We're going to just call this my button.jsx. And in JSX files, at least from my experience and what I've read just from the React docs, is that the main difference is that you can sort of create elements directly in the JavaScript markdown. I'll show you what I mean. So to get started, React components are functions. So to make this, we can say export default function my button, like so. And then we need to write return. Inside of this little part here, we're going to say the actual tag. We can say click me, and currently this will just create a button. So if I add this here, currently we can actually already use this in the project because this is all that a component is in React. Now, it's not quite as pretty as Vue in my opinion, but that's a separate thing. So let's actually add this to our app. So app.jsx, we'll just put it right next to this button. So we're gonna say my button. And now that we have that, we need to actually import it. So import my button from my button. And now we have it here. So the CSS comes from the already built-in styling from this index.css file. So I didn't build that, and normally I will use Tailwind for this sort of thing, but that's a side note. So let's keep going. So we have my button here, and then as we can see on this part, there's a few things happening here. On click, and then it's using an arrow function and all of these things to sort of do some stuff here. So the count is 0. Let's copy that text and use the same count that they have. My button. We're going to go here, type in count is count. Now, of course, count doesn't exist yet, and the page broke because it knows it doesn't exist yet. So we're going to use the same thing here. So in order to make state in React, at least from what I've read in the docs, is you use this use state function, which I think is also technically called like a handler or something. Not fully sure, but let's find out. The important part is that you can use it. So we're going to say const count set count equals use state. And we're going to pass 0 there. Use that here on click equals bloop set count plus 1, like so. Also, we need to import use state. So import use state from React. Bloop. And now we actually have this button here. So let me explain something really quick. So this use state, this is to create reactive variables that can easily be updated with the UI without a whole bunch of extra JavaScript to do that for you, because in vanilla that would take a lot longer. So with use state, it gives you two things. One of them is the reactive variable, which you can call whatever. It doesn't have to be count. You can call it pizza. Let's see. So for example, let's actually do that. So pizza count is count. We're going to say, call this pizza. Pizza goes there, and then instead of set count, we're going to say set pizzas. Set pizzas, and then pizza plus 1. Right, so whatever the amount of pizzas is, we're going to add to that. So pizza count is that. Let's go here, add an actual pizza emoji, do like that. Pizza count is 5. Right, so use state, it returns the actual reactive variable and a setter function. Now, with that said, the type that this actually returns, you see how it says pizza is a number here, that comes from whatever you actually pass into use state. So if you use a different data type, it will be that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. At least at the very beginning and minimal example, that is it. So now that we have this button, we can go to our app.jsx, go here, get rid of that, get rid of this, get rid of this, and now we just have my button as the main counter here. Now, so that is it for actually making the states. Next, we're going to go back to my button and make it to where instead of having the state set here, we're going to pass in props to the actual component, because sometimes when you're developing things and it actually says this in their documentation, there's a way to think about it. Where is it? Thinking in React, which is also basically the same thing for learning view. So it's like you start with some mock-up data, blah, blah, blah. You make a little design. And step 1, you break the UI into component hierarchy, which is like the biggest to the smaller things, essentially. And then... Actually, wait, nope. Not on this page. I was wrong. It was... It has a diagram. Might be on the quick start. Right, so it's actually here. So, whereas on one hand, a button can't have its own state, there is another way to where the count is sort of global. So if you want like, let's say 2 buttons to change the same thing, one of the ways of doing it, I should say, is to use props to pass that data and setting of the data inside of it. So, let me just show you an example. So imagine we want 2 buttons here. So if I just duplicate this as it currently stands in app.jsx, we go here, I make 2 of them. This one is 10, this one's 0. But what if I wanted these 2 numbers to be the same? Instead of the state being stored directly in the button, right here, we need to set this in the app instance itself. So to make this change, I'm going to do the following. I'm going to take this out of here and break my app for a second. Go to JSX. So all of the logic, you put it looks like you put it right after the function, or the function definition in your component. So I'm going to say const. We'll actually put it back to count just because like pizza was just the example. So we're going to say use state 0 once again here. And to add a prop, just so you can see on a like live editing example, we're going to have the following. Inside of the function definition, you're going to write this, essentially. So you're going to make these quotes, or actually, wait, that might be wrong. Bloop. On click. Wait, is it erroring because it's not used? Okay, so set count. Wait. Is it on click or I think we could just pass it like that, if I'm not mistaken. Right, so basically you put your parameters here. So in this case, we're passing just count and set count here. Now, with that said, actually, that should work already. So we can keep the pizza count just because that's kind of fun. And let's see if this is working. So first we have this, and then in our app, we're going to pass these 2 into the actual component here. These 2 props, or these 2 values, I should say. So the state and the function, and pass it into these props here, like so. So you define the prop, which the name is defined right here. Whoops. Right here. So whatever you call these are what the prop names are going to be on your component. So it'll be exactly the same, which is actually pretty convenient. Like, I don't love this syntax because I'm used to Vue, but it is convenient. So I'm gonna refresh this, or actually, let me see here. Use state. We need to import use state. And now, if we do 1, it should update both. Right. Yep. So, that does change. And at a very basic level, that is how to at least start using React. Now, like, of course, there's a lot of logic that isn't there at the moment. So, in order to sort of add to this, we're going to make a... we'll make a list. So my list.jsx, and to build this one, we're actually going to have some data and then some sort of how do I put this? Some conditionals and looping in this example. So to do this, first we'll define it. So export default function my list. data inside is going to be, yeah, we can actually pretty much, oh, okay, so it's not the same example in React, but I just used cursor to sort of do that part. Oh, okay, now I wish the markdown wasn't there. So in order to do this, of course, you define your function, you have the return, and then we actually write our thing inside of here. So we have our data, we have a list tag, and now I actually want to put the data, or I want to put the li tags here and loop them into it. So to do this, I'm actually going to write the following. I'm going to say const, we'll call this grocery items data.map item. So all map does is it converts it into a, well, yeah, basically it just takes one data type and then converts it to another, but inside of a loop. So it takes every item and does the same, or it returns the same result for every item. So you take the item, you do an arrow function here, and we're just going to say li, like so. In a loop, you have to set the key if you're doing it on an element. So as you can see here, I'm writing this without any string or anything. This is sort of the benefit that I've found in JSX. So we're going to have this, and then you can actually already start to use the data from here. So we're going to say item.label, and then we can add a $, just because that's the markup, just for, you know, money, and put 2 zeros at the end. And hypothetically, we should just be able to say it like this. So, grocery items. And then that should just be all of our component at the moment. Now, with that said, let's just see if we can get this to load. So I'm going to go to my app.jsx. We're going to remove this stuff at the top here. Bloop. Also, wait. Right, so now it's just Vite plus React. We can even get rid of that one. Do that, go here, remove that, go here, remove that. Class name card, and now, well, okay, I didn't install Tailwind yet, but eventually I will. So I'm just going to put my list right here. And then we have to import that. So import my list from my list. Bloop. All right, and now we actually have all of our list items here, which is looking pretty spiffy. Now let's add a conditional. So in our list, we're going to say, let's see, so there's that. So no matter what, this is going to return the value. So for now, we could say, I guess, style equals, right, color. Yeah, okay, so basically you could write style, and then how in Vue you would use like a little colon syntax and then still use the quotes to write your JavaScript. In React, you just use these braces whenever you want to write like something in JavaScript inside of a normal style tag. So that said, we're going to do this. So we have the color here, item.value. Right, so basically like for each item, we want to return an li tag with the key of the item's ID and a style of if the item is greater than 20, make it red, otherwise it's blue. And that's just the logic outside of these other two parts. So now I don't agree with blue, so we're just going to say white, just to keep it normal. Save that. Bam. Right, so for some reason cherries are $30 in this example, apples are 10, and bananas are 20. Now, that's not a very good price, but hopefully you can actually see here. And also, if we want to clean this up, we can put this on separate lines. And then organize it. And it should be relatively easier to read like this, just because it's all broken apart. Now, if you're not used to this sort of syntax, yeah, it does take a second to get used to at first, but in React, this is how you do these sorts of things. So that is nice. Now, if we wanted to make this reactive, another thing we could actually say is, let's see, so we have a list. Right, so this is building the component sort of at the end, which isn't technically wrong. But if instead of just saying data like that, we actually wrap this in a use state like so, we're going to call this items set items, import use state from React, change this to items, which I actually like that you don't have to type value here because in Vue you have to type it like every time and it's super annoying. Like you have to write whatever the reactive variable is then dot value, which it's so obnoxious. I wish it wasn't that way, but unfortunately in Vue it is. That's the one downside of Vue. So now I just want to add a very simple way of deleting an item. So to do that, I actually haven't done this before, so this is just happening live. So li, and then we're going to put a little span in here. Span on click equals well, yeah, actually what it was saying. So on click equals yeah, handle click item or handle delete item ID. And then I actually don't know how to build this, so we're just gonna leverage AI here because it will help. So handle click set items items.filter. Okay, so in order to do it, here, wait, also let's give this a little bit of padding. So style equals oh, we can write it like that. Padding 10, padding left. Right, so now the delete button is there. And basically when you write filter, it just gives you every item that isn't the like you write the condition for if a basically like a item in a list is like okay, so basically like if the condition for this item is true, so like if the ID that you pass in does not match this ID, you keep it. So in our case, we have 1, 2, 3 of them. So 1, 2, 3. If I delete this one, let's see, on click, make sure that works, just to try it, and delete. Right, so it actually worked and deleted it, which is pretty cool. Yep. So bloop and bloop, and if you refresh, it is still there. Yeah, so that did handle conditional logic, that handled props, that handled state, at least a little bit, and where to actually put it. Now, if we wanted to do the same thing with this one and make the data that we pass into it, you know, sort of the same way, we can do the following. So let's make these into props. So we're going to say items, and then handle delete, or handle item delete, like so. Let's say we want this to be moved up to our app. We will do the following. So down here, we're going to say handle, or actually handle item delete, and then item.id. That will take the item value. We're going to take this and actually take this as well. Move this up to our app again. So let's say we actually get our data at the app level and we want to share it for some reason. We're going to call this handle item delete now. My list items equals items. Handle item delete. Let's see here. What did I do? Items has already been declared. That's because in here, items. Okay, actually, oh, I think it's just because I didn't save. So now we have the grocery items down here. And if we make, let's say you have another list somewhere else in your app, or like you have another version of the same list or data. One, you can actually use that now, and then two, let's see here. I guess technically you could just store this delete stuff in the app as a prop, but not 100% sure about that. Maybe you're just supposed to count, or maybe you're just supposed to put the set items. Yeah, that might be slightly cleaner, so... okay, I guess this part also works. So let's say that this is just how we want to build it. So we're going to pass in the items and the handle item delete function. Refresh here. We're going to have two of these lists just because we can, and we will watch them both delete the same thing. So we delete this, bloop. Now it's gone. We delete the cherries. And now the only thing left in the list that is at the app level is now Apple. So with that said, hopefully that was enough to get you started with the very basics of React. Now there's a lot of stuff that, I mean, it's like Vue where there's a lot of stuff to cover, and like the same Vue basics are basically the same thing. So hopefully you learned a little bit about React and JSX in this video and how to, in general, get started using it. Now, they do recommend using Next.js. I haven't explored that too deep just because I haven't had to, and personally I do prefer using Next, or let me rephrase that, Vue and Next more, just because I feel like the interface is a lot nicer. That said, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and my attempt at teaching React.js and trying to make this as simple of a guide as possible. Hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, my name is Zach Plochet. I teach people how to code and stuff, and thank you for watching. Bye for now. Beep.